What's up, guys? Shit, how do I even explain this? I've had this recording for like probably a good week. We need to get it done. We need to record the audio, so here we are. This is the first time I've ever done recording for audio after the recording. I usually do it live with the video, which is slightly more tedious, but the original audio, I have set the volume too low for the actual recording of my voice, and so you couldn't hear shit. And so here we are with this one. Always, guys, you're free to subscribe or comment. We have no subscribers right now. It's pretty fucking sad. We have like 200 views and like 0 subscribers, but you know, growth is growth. So what we got here in this mission is the river crossing, and the river crossing can be difficult if you don't react fast. So I was trying to run off of memory since I've done this campaign before. And I knew they were coming, and I knew they would try to overwhelm my small division. It's really just actually like 2 brigades. Except I was mistaken in my memory. In my memory, they came up the center, which is where the 22nd Illinois is at. Completely wrong. They just come straight up the left side near the river and just blow into my 11th Ohio and kill probably a good third of them within the first few minutes of the fight. And then my reinforcements came faster than I remembered them coming forward, which was really great actually for me because I thought we were about to lose this entire fucking thing. So that's pretty great. I also have a cold right now, but we don't have fucking time to do this. Like, I'm about to record some new shit. I've been thinking about maybe starting a different campaign in a different game as well. I'm keeping this campaign, obviously. We're not going to delete any of this shit. We're not going to start over. It's ridiculous. But, yeah, man, we got a whole new campaign coming up. I'm still deciding if I want to do something simple, like recording wise, like an EU4 campaign, since I've played the game several times and I own the game and a couple expansions with it. Or I might do something a little bit more actiony, like Medieval 2 campaign. Medieval 2 is probably like one of the first games I ever got. But anyway, back into the action, what we got going on here. So I am making my boys run the fuck over as fast as possible, because we are totally gonna be fucked unless I come up with some kind of position. I'm not worried about the skirmishers. I think we can hold. I'm worried about this entire Confederate army coming over this fucking river and destroying my boys. I'm hoping the 22nd Ohio can keep this right flank secure long enough for my reinforcements to come up on their flank and fucking crush them. But we'll have to see how that shit goes. I pushed through with that bottom division down here through the woods because I think, in my head, I think there's more of them than there actually is. So I'm basically being a McClellan right now. For those who don't know, McClellan constantly made former states as a Union general of thinking the Confederates were far more numerous than they were. So I'm thinking, like, I'm having this overwhelming military force. We're actually more even than I actually believe. So I send all these boys up the right flank to try to get really a blunting mechanism in this right flank, and there turns out to be a lot less men there. I started to realize this and start, of course, putting my numbers in my advantage. My main goal becomes holding the left and trying to take back that forest region so that we can have a better position to hold these boys across the river. My center's holding. 22nd Illinois is still holding. They've managed to hold off long enough through multiple charges and flankings and shots for me to create a line inside of their absence. So I pull them back. They actually retreat first, but then I end up keeping them back for a bit since they're my main first corps. My first division of my first corps is the most expensive and the most veteran of them, so obviously don't want to lose them. I think I also have a veteran in the 12th Maine, which is up there right now as well. They're from the 2nd Division. I think they're the only ones I kept. That I need to rename the 3rd Division because they don't have their names yet, which means I have to come up with basically random regiment names, I guess you call them. So what do we got going here? So I'm trying to push through the woods here. I decided to hold a Huter, and I decided that he will have to be the guy who has to sit and just hold that line. He's in kind of an open position, but that's what he just gotta be the one that eats shots today. That just has to be done. So I still think there's more army than there is, like over here in like the upper right hand corner of my screen right now, near that old hamlet over there. I think that there's more men. There's not. I began to realize this and realized I can just clusterfuck this bunched up group over here. We're probably gearing up for a charge, and it's my 12th. So I started moving boys around, of course. I was like, well, if they're just going to sit there and let me do this, then I'm just going to get around them. Yes, I'm still me with my fear that there's more of them. That's why I turned him right, because I think with Ferguson over there, I turned him right because I think there's still more men I just don't see right now. I'm completely wrong. The entire force is in the center right now. I don't realize this, but the entire force is inside the center right now, like the majority of men. So I began to push against these skirmishers, because I don't give a fuck about skirmishers, and try to push them out, and basically try to tape back this force. I try to move Hugher a little bit into a better position, and then I see Johnson and realize he's just going to have to sit there and just eat shots. That's just his dream. I think I decided to hold him there so he doesn't turn. I don't want him to turn. I want him to sit there, eat shots, hold the position, while I work with the other units, because we're obviously facing the massive rebel charge, which is a common AI decision that the AI does, where it tries to push the entire fucking army into one big charge. Which can be effective, because obviously the weight of the numbers will break my line. I'm diverting the boys into maneuvering. I can see the shots coming from the hamlet is probably their artillery. I'm still trying to take this small farm over here. It's kind of turned into a kind of Waterloo decision, where I decide to press everything into this hamlet and try to tape out the two hamlets. So seeing that I'm starting to tape out the force, I decided, okay, well maybe we'll just hold the force with that. Move what's left of my first division, which is not much, and try to take back what we have. So, sorry, God, that's my message. What you have here, I see the cannons. Obviously, I go for them because I'm like, okay, there's no infantry support. I'm gonna go at these cannons. I don't like charging cannons for some reason. That's just not my thing. I never seem to do it. I think about it, but I never seem to do it. I always try to get not too close, but close enough to start launching rounds into them, and then usually the cannons will break, and I just move forward. So here we go. The Confederate Army is starting to retreat to the left of me, and I take back the hamlet and take that position, and that's when I realize I'm probably going to win this, because my line is far enough away from the objective where the fighting will keep them away from the objective. The horse, which I think is like, I think Pond or Johnson, I think is the Confederate general's name for the horse inside this battle. The cavalry does not get over to the objective. I realize it's fairly safe and begin to push forward towards the cannons and take that area. Me thinking still there's like more Confederates. I'm thinking like this is one of the major battle setups, because I do that a lot in major battles where I will advance thinking that I have the full army, and then more reinforcements from the enemy side will come in and I'll get outflanked. And I don't realize that. So I'm being more cautious than I should be. I also don't want to waste a ton of boys here. We end up capturing Anderson here. That was really great. Little small bonus that came up. I don't want to waste a ton of boys here because we're about to fight Shiloh inside of our next episode, and Shiloh is going to be a murder house. Like, nothing that I do ever takes me from losing shit tons of men at Shiloh. Even if they have the best positions, there's just so many men fighting at Shiloh, it turns into a fucking bloodbath. No matter what side I'm playing on, as Confederate, it turns into a bloodbath because you're fighting defensive positions. Well, I usually try to outflank them instead of direct charge them. For Union, it's usually overwhelming attacks against you, so you end up taking a bunch of losses anyway, and there's no way to take small amounts of losses at Shiloh, which I think is, they're trying to keep this historical accuracy, which is sustaining a shit ton of casualties at Shiloh, because that's what happened at Shiloh, is both sides sustained a serious amount of casualties. Obviously, the Confederates could not replace those casualties. Sorry, hold as effectively as the Union could with their high population. Also, not mentioned as often, but the building of the forces for Shiloh, since obviously most of this Western Theater's army was lost at, I think, Fort Donelson. Was it what it was? The forts on the Ohio River up there. Is basically what caused the problem, was the losses in Kentucky and northern Tennessee, which is basically just surrendering of the Confederate army up there, made Johnston freak the fuck out and gather as many men as he could from most of the garrisons, which is why they had all these men, all these cannons here, was because they pulled them out of areas like New Orleans forts, which came to bite us in the ass. By us, I mean I'm southern, so obviously it came to bite us in our ass. And they took the Mississippi River in New Orleans down there inside the southern region, because the forts did not have the same amount of guns or garrison they're supposed to, because Johnston pulled them out for the Battle of Shiloh. And most of our garrisons were gone down the southern Mississippi area. which allowed Farragut, I believe his name was the Union admiral. They basically just rolled right in. He basically just charged right in, hoping for the best. It worked out for him. It could have been miserably failure, but it worked out for him. He rushed it, he got it, and he won. And then back to the battle here. I'm beginning to move up. I believe to move up, but I don't really want to be too aggressive now. Now that I've got him on that side of the river, I don't want to do anything too crazy. The cavalry commander is actually Lindsay here. My bad, I thought it was a Pond or something like that. It's Lindsay. I don't know who that is. I'm not aware of that cavalry commander. Maybe we'll Google him later. I don't think he shows up in any other battles besides this anyway. I don't know actually what this battle is supposed to be. I didn't Google it or anything like that, or Wikipedia it or whatever. So I don't know what this is supposed to be representation of. It's enough men where I think it's an actual battle, not something they just made up. I'm hoping. Because there's a shit ton of people here, so I believe it's a real battle that they came up with. I decided to go after Johnston as fast as possible, because Johnson is out on the riverbank, which is a very bad position. It's actually less cover. He's trying to attack boys in the forest. It's never going to work. This river becomes basically my area of fighting. I decided to just hold the woods and force them to come crossing. Basically, holding the Confederate army in that woodland across the riverbank until the time runs out, not being too aggressive, trying to get the casualties down, because obviously I have to replace all these guys, and I do not want to replace everyone, because that's expensive. I want to use as much money and manpower as possible after the Battle of Shiloh. As for upgrades, I might increase organization or something like that, just to have more brigades per division. Just I want a ton of men at Shiloh. I want like as many as possible. I think they left you to have like 20 brigades at Shiloh. I think is the limit they give you. So I want to get as close to that 20 brigades as possible, because we're seriously going to get hit in the face at Shiloh. So that's my most worry right now. The river crossing battle is only a side piece that I thought would be fun to play and fun for me to explain how to do this. Though I fucked up in the beginning, I managed to do a saving grace, which turned the whole fight around and kept me in a good position to where I could just pummel the Confederate. Obviously, I don't think this will affect the Confederate manpower that much, and we basically won it. And that was it, guys. And so we will see you next time.